Welcome back to Mortgage Minute. I'm Anthony Barr with Main Street Home Loans, and we're going to talk about taxes and mortgages today. It's going to be a two-part video, so we invited Frank, one of our favorites CPAs. So Frank, why don't you tell the audience who you are, what you do?
Thanks, Anthony. I'm Frank Stitely. I'm the managing partner at Stitely and Carstetter CPAs in Chantilly, Virginia. I have been doing this for 32 long tax seasons, and I think I have a ring under my eye for each one of those tax seasons.
Fantastic. The reason I want to bring you into the studio is the tax returns, the income, and the employment history is a very, very important factor when someone wants to buy a home. Okay, and when they come to me, it's a little bit too late because the tax is already filed, right? So what are some tips, and the two-part video is going to be focused, one on employees, people that earn W-2s, and they might have a side job, like a small 1099. And on part two of this video, we'll talk a little bit about more self-employment people and how to manage that part. So do you have any tips or about 3 best practices for a W-2 employee, how to file the tax returns to maximize their qualifying income so when they're ready to buy a house?
In the tax business, we like to use the saying, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. So you want to be within the national norms for your income level. First of all, the IRS matches almost everything to a tax return now. And probably the worst thing to happen if you're getting ready to get a mortgage is to file a return and then have it bounce back with an IRS letter saying, hey, you missed this brokerage statement or you missed that brokerage statement. So one of the big things is be complete and keep the documents.
Right. So once they sit down to you and they're ready to file their returns, right, is there any information that they usually miss when they go to your office to prepare their returns? Do you keep them, do you prepare them in advance? What's your strategy to make sure that they file their tax returns correctly?
Our strategy is to try to know the answer before we actually prepare the tax returns, and that typically means some planning out this time of year, October, November, December, so that we know what documents we're missing. We can go through last year's tax return and say, hey, you had this brokerage statement last year, you need to have it this year.
Right. What's the most important item on tax returns that people usually miss when they're employees?
When they're employees lately, it is pension distributions. We've seen a lot of that over the last couple of years. People are no longer getting documents necessarily by mail. Pension companies are expecting you to go to a website to download a document. So if you know you got some kind of distribution or a rollover, you're going to have to report it in some way, and you really need to get that document. Otherwise, the IRS is going to send a nasty letter out about summertime, maybe right when you're in the middle of the mortgage process.
And we don't want that.
Yes.
So COVID was a terrible past couple of years. Are there any specific items that people should know about to prepare their tax documents when they are ready to file taxes?
The big thing is just making certain you have everything. There aren't a lot of COVID provisions for 2021 the way they were in 2020 with being able to spread out pension distributions or pay them back or anything like that. So there's nothing really special to 2021 yet. We still have until December, but there's no gotchas yet in that. Just make certain you have everything and at least take a look to see that it's in line with prior years, because I know you guys on the mortgage side don't just say, okay, this year is good, but you didn't make any money last year or the previous 5 years.
Right. We have to look at 2 years history and see there has to be some sort of consistency between those 2 years, and sometimes we see crazy stuff on the tax returns. So
well, and at least be willing or be ready to explain what those inconsistencies are rather than take a week to get back to Anthony and say, I don't know what happened.
So that's it for part 1 of this series. Frank, thank you so much for helping us. Don't miss part 2, which we're going to talk about special considerations for self-employment people and how accommodate those in tax time. Sound good?
Thank you, Anthony.
Thanks for watching. See you next time on part 2.